Welcome to the Bupa Great Manchester Run 2012. It's the 10th anniversary of the race. 40,000 entered. Previous winners: Paul Turgat, Craig Mottram, Haile Gebrselassie, the first of 4 great wins. Mika Kogo still holds the fastest time. For the women, Bahana Deary, O'Sullivan, Kiplagat, Pavey, Chariot, Kidani, and last year it was Helen Clitheroe of Great Britain. The very best have been to Manchester, but for the elite women, the start time is near.
Well, we are short of a new champion today. There's Gemma of Great Britain, the Charnwood athlete under the tutelage of John Nuttall, former international himself, has made huge strides forward this last few months on the roads in particular, and recently ran 32.06 in Dublin over 10,000 metres on the road. There's Ayele Gebrselassie, the Commonwealth Games marathon champion, also won the Singapore Marathon earlier on this year for the second time. Charlotte Perche, well, the youngster, she's just 20 years old, but under the coaching of Mick Woods has come on in leaps and bounds. European junior cross-country champion last winter, and a young lady who ran 10,000 as a personal best on the track in the USA a couple of weeks back. Felt she could go faster. And there's a familiar face, Mara Yamauchi, the Harrow athlete who was 6th in the last Olympic Games, has already been selected for Great Britain for the Games in London at the marathon distance. And there is the favourite, Linet Masai, the world champion at 10,000 metres in 2009. She's very much a world-class runner on the track from 3,000 up to 10,000 metres. She's one of a strong trio of Kenyans in this race today. Of course, the course record at 31.07 belongs to Ayele of Ethiopia back in 2006. That could be under threat if Masai is in good form here. Well, away they go. Rather a gingerish setting up pace from Masai there in the early stages. She slots into about 10th place. But I would have thought it's likely to be the marathon runners here, Yamauchi perhaps, or Ayele Gebrselassie, the Commonwealth champion, who pushed the pace through the early stages. They will want strength to tell, and they won't want this to be a track runners race where real speed at the finish comes into play.
Well, you can see already that the athletes are now splitting up, and of course that's a measure of the sort of talent that you've got in this elite group. There are 2 groups really. There's an elite group and there's a slightly lesser group. It starts in Portland Street certainly, and goes off down City Road at 1 mile, and then towards down Chester Road to 2 miles, and 3 miles beyond Bridgewater Way and the Manchester United ground, of course, Imperial War Museum coming back between 6 and 7, and heading down towards the finish, Bridgewater Way, and they'll head back to Deansgate and the finish. It's a good course, and 40,000 are preparing for their mission, and Haile Gebrselassie, of course, out to achieve or to attempt his 5th win in this race so far in his career. It doesn't hold the best. Mika Kogo, as I said, does. But anyway, we've got a good start in the women's race certainly, and the marathon. You said, Tim, that it might come down to the marathon runners, and Yamauchi has taken on the lead, and alongside Gemma, what a season Gemma had thus far in the orange top. Charlotte Purdue, the diminutive figure behind her.
I'm just wondering, Stuart, if Gemma not a little bit over-raced. She certainly has had a very, very busy winter. Mara Yamauchi, in comparison, has been training in California at altitude and has said she's very, very hungry to race, to get her racing shoes on and find out what sort of form she's in. There's that lead group of 6 athletes in Certi there for Italy, along with Ejafini, her compatriot. 3 Britons, and Masai is there, rather ominously, of course, the pre-race favourite. The Kenyans, by the way, taking 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 10,000 metres on the track last year at the World Championships. And Masai taking the bronze medal. There she is, the tall figure in the dark shorts, just watching what's going on ahead of her at the moment, letting these early kilometres unfold. But no surprise that Yamauchi is pushing it on.
Well, for the men, and one has to say that the principals are certainly the marathon men to watch, because the first to be introduced, Ayele Abshero of Ethiopia, a very, very good marathon debut in Dubai earlier this year, sub 2:5. What a way to start. Terrific career ahead of him, clearly, and the diminutive figure of Tsegaye Kebede of Ethiopia, bronze medalist in the Olympic marathon in Beijing in 2008. And yet another marathon man coming up now, Patrick Makau. Well, he holds the world record for the marathon, sub 2:4, broke Haile Gebrselassie's record, but pulled out of the London Marathon. More about that during the race. And of course, a man going for his 5th, not consecutive, but his 5th win in this race. Haile Gebrselassie, twice Olympic champion at 10,000 metres, 2 world marathon records, and so much more. A real ambassador for his country, and those elite men head up that field of around 40,000 who will have their own personal stopwatches ready to record their times, to go back to their offices and to report how well they did. And you can see them splitting now as they go through the start line. Look at those personal watches being clicked, those little pulse takers being clicked on. Charities being run for, club athletes, some who've never done it before. The masses, in every sense, are made up by all kinds of people: men, women, youngsters, and of course an elite field.
Well, if you look at this, these athletes across the front here, Stuart, there's real mixed fortunes. Of course, Abshero already selected for the Ethiopian team to the right of picture, as you mentioned, the new man to the marathon scene. Gebrselassie there in the orange in the centre, hoping to make the Ethiopian team at 10,000 metres. In 1 week's time, he has the 10,000 metres on the track in Hengelo, which is in effect the Ethiopian trial for their track squad. And of course Kebede, well, he hasn't been selected, the short man to the right of picture there, despite being incredibly consistent. The London Marathon champion in 2010 hasn't been selected for the Ethiopian squad. Neither, can you believe, has Patrick Makau, the world record holder, been selected for the Kenyan trio for the Olympic Marathon in London. There's some real surprise decisions over recent weeks by the East African nations, but this is a fantastically talented pack, everybody running with their own agenda.
Well, in 2005, Haile Gebrselassie set a UK all-comers best of 27 minutes and 25. And it was beaten by, as I said, Demika Koga, 27:10. And that was the fastest this race has been run. But Ejefini leading the group.
Yes, it suggests to me, Stuart, that the pace is fairly slowish. If Ejefini is leading there, she really isn't world-class when you take the likes of Masai into account. And this group together, there's 8 of them there, at a fairly mature stage of the race as they pass Old Trafford. Lovely sight that. But Ejefini leading Masai, you can see they're in the all-black, back in about 6th place at the moment, with Yamauchi in 2nd place to the top left there of that group. In fact, Purdue it is, on the shoulder of Ejefini. She's a wonderfully talented young athlete, Purdue, and not scared to front run either. I love to see her go out with real guts and push on the pace in her races. And she's learning a great deal when she's able to mix it with company like this at the tender age of 20.
She had a knee operations in May 2010, a left, then a right one in May 2011. She's been completely injury-free, we're told. Now, this is interesting. Gemma Steele, I think you made the point early on about the way in which she may well have over-raced a little, but Gemma Steele has had such a fantastic career thus far. As we go back to see those 40,000 and Jess Ennis with that starter's hooter enjoying this moment.
Well, here you can see Kebede up alongside Gebrselassie. Frustrated man he must be, young Kebede, because he's got no chance of making their Olympic team at 10,000 metres. Haile Gebrselassie has. Remember, he's a former world record holder, over 25 laps on the track. And while his years are no longer tender, he's 39 as far as we're aware, although there's some people who say he's well north of 40. Gebrselassie has been putting in plenty of speed work in preparation for that 10,000 metres on the track next week. And we're hoping to show some of his younger rivals a clean pair of heels. But this is a strong Ethiopian trio, Stuart, across the front.
Yeah, Kebede, well, remember, he went from 6th to 3rd in the last 5 kilometres in the Olympic marathon in 2008. Went past Daniba Merger in the last 200 metres. Got the bronze in the World Championships in Berlin in 2009 as well. So, you know, he knows his way around the marathon courses. He's one of 13 children, is Kebede. And a big family that comes from Jira, which is 40 kilometres north of Addis Ababa. And of course a lot happening there at the moment with Kenanisa Bekele setting up his new track and his new sports complex, the soft track, so that they can train on it without injuring their feet and their calves, their Achilles. But Haile is so proficient in every way. He has such physiology, he really does. I was just looking at Abshero as well. 2:4:23 is debut marathon. Look at this, not much change. In the women?
No, indeed, spread across the road. Conditions very good, actually. It's not a sunny day. It's cool, but there's not much wind about. Now Masai just beginning to impose herself. It's about the first time she's eased her nose in front. It won't be a particularly quick time today. On the track, just 5 women in history have broken 30 minutes. On the roads, I think you can say safely that anything under 32 minutes is world-class running. And now Masai just eases into the front, begins to lengthen her stride, and almost immediately we could see there Mara Yamauchi, the Briton, beginning to struggle and peeling off the back of that group. There she is, top left of picture, Yamauchi, as Masai with those long gangly legs just begins to bounce along. 5 kilometers there for Masai, and certainly it's a tactic I guess she must have had prepared in her own mind. At halfway, begin to make an effort. Her track personal best came when she was 4th in the Olympic 10,000 metres in Beijing. Well, she's now a very, very much more accomplished runner, as she reached 5,000 there in 15:47. And in a very short space of time here, look, she's torn that field asunder. Those are big gaps developing.
Yeah, it's a clever way that she subtly increased the pace, and Ejefini found life a little bit difficult, having led for so much of the way. Charlotte Purdue's, about 20 metres off Masai now at the front of that team, at the front of that race. So she looks so comfortable, doesn't she? She's got a brother as well who was 4th in the World Championships a couple of World Championships ago. So there's a talented family, there really is.
Well, she's looking very strong indeed, and now Masai in control, having passed halfway in the women's 10,000 metres in Manchester. How will the second half go?